Hello. In this video, I'll be explaining you how to use CADSoft's Eagle PCB design and schematic tool for building layouts for a given schematic. I'll use a simple resistive network to demonstrate how to convert a given schematic connection into a layout or a board file in Eagle design and schematic tool. Therefore, at the end of this session, I'm expecting students will be able to design PCB layouts using Eagle design and schematic tool. Think how are connections on a layout file made once a schematic is given where the connections are already made. Well, let's have a look at it directly by switching to the Eagle environment. Here you see two different files. On the left hand side with the white background, this is schematic. On the right hand side with the black background, it's a board file. Now consider that I want to connect R1, R2, R3, R4, R5 and R6 in series, one after the other. So consider that I have made a wrong connection between R1 and R4. I need to delete that. So search for an option on your menu bar where you will find a delete. So this icon representing a dustbin is for delete. Simply click on that and click on this connection. It will delete. At the same time, observe that here the connection which was previously shown is also gone. Now go back to wire, click on R1, one of its terminal, and double click on the other end of R2 to leave that. Similarly, I'm going to do all the connections. In the meanwhile, you may observe here that how the connections are happening. I want to connect R3 to R4, then R4 to R5, and R5 to R6. For some reason, I want to use this resistive network and I want to use this for some electronic circuit where I need to externally connect this resistive load, that is a series connection of 6 resistors. So it is very important to note here that in R1 and R6 one of its terminals are not connected. So what would happen? You would imagine like you would be generating the schematic file and converting that into a layout where you are expecting some output terminals which can either be soldered with a wire or some external component. So it's not a good method to directly use the lead or the terminal of a resistor itself as a port which can be utilized externally. So it's important that whenever you generate a schematic file, make sure that you are providing proper output terminals for each and every connection other than the real original uh, components terminals. So let us go ahead and add a component called a screw. I'm going to select Convago 102. This is nothing but a simple terminal block which has two screws connected, and this can be used for connecting and disconnecting wires with very much ease on your PCB. I'll be placing this somewhere here and it looks like this on your board file. Escape and escape again. Now simply take a wire and connect this, or the shortcut is to simply click on this move, select one of the terminal of this screw block, directly connect it to this terminal. So what this is doing is it is auto connecting. Whenever you try to connect two terminals and touch them, they try to auto connect. So this is a very good feature of Eagle software. Now that we have completed our schematic design, it's now time to go ahead and design the board. Let me minimize sorry, maximize this. Now, this is what I was talking about in our previous tutorial. That is, if you go to help and click on about Eagle, it is very much evident that we are using free by key. So the meaning of free by key is that the amount of area that is allowed for designing of the PCBs is limited, meaning whatever white box that you're able to see in this layout section is what area available for you for designing. So the first and foremost thing is click on move and try to place all these resistors inside this allowed area. And whenever you try to mount, make sure that you place all the resistors properly aligned and well structured so that the PCB looks good and it is easy for you to trace the connections. So simply by selecting a component and right clicking, you can rotate the component that you want to place, as well as you can take care that there are no overlaps of all these yellow connections. Even though if there is an overlap like this, it doesn't mean that those two are short circuited. So here it's not an intersection. So this can be very much easily be identified by clicking on the show button and click on this yellow wire. So it is going to simply show you that there is a connection between this pad 1 and this pad of resistor ARC6, and there is no connection with this line with this one. You can click on escape. Now, as long as it is possible for you to make the connections like this, you can go ahead and keep them look pretty straight and non-intersecting and non-overlapping. Now, the important thing that you are supposed to do is try and explore this auto router facility. So the advantage of auto router facility is that it is going to automatically route all the tracks provided that you have made all the connections correct. Now, auto route doesn't place the components. You need to place the components like what we did now, and then only explore the feature of auto router. Before clicking and utilizing the features of auto router, there is one important step, that is setting the design rules according to the standards of PCB designing technique. So for that you need to simply go to edit, click on design rules. A window will appear where we need to set the width of the track that you are expecting whenever you try to etch the PCB. Directly go to tab number 3, which is asking you to mention some distance between two tracks. I'll go for 40 mil. You can skip all the remaining parameters and keep them as it is. Then move on to the 5th tab. Again write 40 and select the minimum drill as 30. Click on apply. Click OK. That's all. Now your design rules are set. Now you can easily use the auto router facility. Click on auto router, and if you observe properly, this Eagle software offers you to design all the routing in 16 different layers. But the things that we are currently designing is for the bottom layer only. But by default, the top one and the bottom one are selected as auto. So we need to turn this off by selecting NA. Now it is showing you that all the layers from 1 to 15 are not applicable or simply not selected. And we are only interested in auto routing of the components through bottom layer. You can set all the remaining things to the default values, no need to bother about it. Click on continue, click start, and in the meanwhile keep an eye on this particular section. start. Now you'll observe that whatever connections that we have considered in our schematic file, I mean here, those connections have been adopted directly into the board file, which were displayed with some yellow connections between the pads. Now those yellow pads have been removed with this particular blue tracks. So all this blue and the green pads are is going to be what that appears on your PCB. Now the next step is to go to layer settings, click on none so that all these things get automatically disappeared, and then click on the bottom layer, click on pads and click on apply. This is what we want our PCB to look like. Keeping all these things in mind, try to design a layout for an unstable multivibrator using IC555 using Eagle PCB design tool. Thank you.